Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Pitchside
Pitchside
podcast. And as usual, the lineup is amazing. Muruti,
DJ Nes Malume,
Hozana Danki, Rituri Donna,
are you, sir?
Modise,
How are you,
what
sir?
Red Lock,
1 2 1 2.
Arushapeka Ahme Areda fast. Just. Look right of it.
Easy.
Big one, man. Champions League. We finally got the win over Esperance.
In style.
In style. Go Loftus at a packed Loftus.
On a Tuesday
Tuesday afternoon.
at a 3 o'clock match.
I think we turned to Rubafe Amazing to see. I think, especially because it was Tuesday, 3 p.m. As you said, people were at work, but people understood that their team needs them, and they showed up in numbers.
Very true. Exciting moments and a crowd befitting the results and the display of football that the boys gave. So it was a wonderful day on a Tuesday, 3 o'clock. That kind of numbers, it really tells you that there is something great that has been done by the supporters, coordinators, by the leadership of the club. And the players can now see that the efforts that they are putting in the game, the supporters see that and they appreciate it. And we really like to once again congratulate the Masandawana to say for coming out. You could see in the confidence in the boys, the way they played, and it was so wonderful.
Speaking on the confidence and the way the boys played, at some stage we had 80% ball possession.
Yeah, but it's the kind of respect that Mamelodi Sundowns command.
Yeah.
And you need to understand as well that Esperance is playing away, so you're playing a little bit of a cautious football. Because you could see the way they set themselves up. They really wanted to come out on transition. You know, they wanted to use Mukwana more on the left-hand side with his speed. And at times, they couldn't get it right because Mamelodi Sundowns were counter-pressing. So I think from a tactical point of view, I think Coach Cardozo got it very right. Because then we're forcing Esperance to defend in their own half. But also, you know, they started making those fouls because they were late in every moment that we got ourselves into. But it became a little bit of a worry for me because then it became like a game where like it's a stop and start because they wanted to delay the rhythm of
100%.
They're very smart. But what was important is like the way that we commanded the game. Like you rightfully say, 80% ball position, which means they were looking for the ball. You could also see from the bench itself. I mean, the coach of Esperance was so frustrated because then the team couldn't get in sync because of how dominant Mamelodi Sundowns was.
But speaking on that, I think when we talk about dominance and also how they set up the team, it seems like the way basically that most teams are now setting up is the 5 at the back and then trying to play off the counter.
Yeah, you know, you could see that that's actually the easiest way. One would say to play against a team like Mamelodi Sundowns who keeps the ball more often, because we're trying to find those spaces and all they can do is try and limit that area, especially in and around their goal post and box. So putting the 5 there, it looks like it's beginning to be a trend that when you play against Mamelodi Sundowns, make sure you've got a lot of the back. But we also need to commend within that difficult state of having the opponents having 5 at the back, we still found a way, and the reliable Shasha was there. Unbelievable pass from Ribeiro, a good drop back from Jaden, and the goal poacher. That's his strength, to fight in the box and figure it out and put it in the back of the net. So it was really convincing for me.
Modise, how important is that counter press then? Because if teams are going to be playing on that transition, it means the moment we lose it, we need to be on top of them to try and regain position. There's that old saying, "Kabas pumule," because I saw at some stage, Kabas because the pressure.
Yeah, because then you are an Esperance team that is playing in South Africa. You don't want to concede the second goal because that puts you like in a very disadvantaged position. So the counter press become important, but also the rest defense as well. Because then even if you do counter press, not all the time you're going to actually get the ball. But the reason why you're counter pressing is because you're avoiding the nakedness that is happening at the back.
Yeah.
So what happens is like even if you do counter press, I could see Alan does that very well. When you see players are counter pressing, you know, your Grant, your Suarez at the back, your Kuliso Mdawa at the back, they also need to be in the right positions just in case, because it was so important as well to have Bodao there because of he's got speed, he's got an aggression, so he could deal with Mkwana very well. But also it's a game that because it's a first leg and a second leg, so it's a game of two halves, if one could say. So the same approach that they showed us in South Africa, it's not going to be the same approach that it will do. And it will be a vice versa then, because then they will be the one that counter-press, because then they want to get into the score sheet. So it will be then asked as to then how then do we play differently. So now the speed of Shasha, possibly Reynolds on the pitch, it becomes such an important now we need to play a little more different, because for the fact, like you raise an important issue, statement, would say, like the teams now that are having this trend of playing five at the back. The reason is when you're playing against a team that is Mamelodi that manipulates spaces, it becomes very difficult to have 1v1 in that midfield. So therefore, you're adding number, you play in a block because you know that Mamelodi wants to come in. You rather allow the crosses to come in so that you can be able to defend. But then within that space as well, because there were moments, especially there were top players. There are top players as well. You know, they couldn't find themselves in the game. So you can expect, you know, a different side when you go to Tunis.
Yeah, the coach also spoke about it. I mean, the patience to move the ball left and right, and finally, in time, it will open up. We just need to be patient and be smarter about things.
And what helps as well, you're right. And what helps as well is within the patience build up, because it was surprising because we were playing with one striker. Normally, it's always a 2 and a 1 or a 3. So because it was just Shalulile, you want your Jaden Adams to make those deep runs. You want an 8, your Alene to make those deep runs to actually stress the defense. And that's exactly how we got the goal. Even though you can have that block, but whenever there's a third man run, it always becomes difficult. And also, I don't think the players themselves of Tunis, they're happy with the system that they play because there's a new coach.
Yeah.
You could see the frustration because at times you'll see a centre back, you know, coming out of the centre back line to go and press a midfielder because of the block. Nobody's pressing there. So you could see there was a lot of frustrations. It was just weird to see, especially a top team like Tunis to be able to play like that, you know, but also it's the amount of respect that they have, and also give Coach Cardoso credit in a sense that he understands the strength of individual players from Tunisia. He understands the mentality as well, and be able to use that in our advantage to get that victory was so important.
Sugar, we now need to talk about the part and the element of being street smart, and street smart being on the field, which is what a lot of what they did is breaking the momentum. Sometimes you lie on the ground when there's a light knock, but it breaks the momentum. It allows us to regroup. How important is it for us to be street smart when we are playing on the African continent?
Naves, what you're saying is very critical, especially in the Champions League. You need to understand that it's not just about playing the game with the ball. You also play without the ball. You need to be able to understand that there are times where you need to recognize as a team that, okay, now we are totally under pressure. Then we need to break the momentum of the opponent so that we can regain ourselves and find the balance. We were speaking about counter-pressing, and that comes in an element of us keeping the ball more, because when we have it, then we are closer to the ball. So being street smart causes us to be able to buy time, especially know when to win. There are times where there are games that you know you need to win. There are places where you know that even a draw is okay, and you play with the mentality. Obviously, you play to win, but if you get a draw, you're in a good state. So being street smart helps us to find the right moment to execute. They were falling on the ground because that's what they were planning, to kill the momentum, not give us a chance to be in sync or have the fluidity of the game properly. But we've got multiple ways, like Modise says, that Coach Cardoso knows the strengths and weaknesses. You could see how he made the subs immediately at halftime, and it totally changed the whole complexion of the game. We needed someone like Sales to keep the ball there and be patient with just having the ball there gives them another element of now they don't know what to do. Then we've got that ball to be played. So I think that helps in also being street smart as a coach, knowing what to do and when to do it.
I think a player like Sales brings a different dimension to our game, and I think unless you're really tuned in and watching, you won't really understand it, because as far as we are concerned, striker,
and I think his potential, not necessarily, but his qualities is slowly beginning to show,
100%.
and it helps because then he gets game time. You know, his inclusion on the second half, it was so important. So he also is not a. You're right, because in South Africa when we say striker, you're expecting somebody inside the box to be heading, and also because of his height. So he gets injustice in terms of how he plays.
Yeah.
But when you're a Mamelodi Sundowns fan, you look at how important he becomes in terms of getting to those half spaces, being able to control the ball, being able to link up play.
Yeah.
It's so important because none of the front three we have that has the qualities that Salas has, right? You have a Ribeiro that will forever play as a 10, right? He's no longer, he doesn't want to play, but the top man or just beyond the striker. So he always comes in as a 10 and being a creative player. So once you have that, so you have a Salas that has also a mentality to be inside the box to be able to score goals, but also plays in spaces as well. That's how Mamelodi Sundowns play. So
he actually becomes the 10.
He becomes a 10, a natural 10.
Yeah.
And that then, what it does, then it frees, it builds some sort of patience, whatever we build up. It also, because the problem is like, if we're not gonna be playing organized football, we'll never find people in the right spaces. So the certain players, when they're on the pitch, once they get into those spaces, the team plays organized. We're able to manipulate those spaces in time. And Salas then becomes such an important player that came on in the second half. And I was the first time he got the ball inside the box, he tried to shoot. And I was like, that's what you need.
Yeah.
You need to have that type of confidence.
Also, for me, another exciting point was to see where Ribeiro played that cross from. He was so close to the halfway line, which means if by it's a sugar makarai man, because don't see it all the way to halfway line. And still is able to play that crossing to break the lines.
And accurate. The quality in Ribeiro is something else. He keeps on showing us.
And right.
Do you understand? And he's got that element. I saw even throughout the game he was having that role of coming a little bit deep.
Yeah.
Because you'd automatically expect if you've got 5 people there, it might be difficult. It's going to be difficult for him to find those normal spaces that he gets. But he brought another element of his game to say, I can still go deep and play it behind. Amazing. I've seen this happening in Barcelona back then, even when we played them here. Messi, when we try to solidify him there, he comes deep and finds the ball there. And you don't know how to stop that because now he's eliminated the whole midfield, the whole defense, and the ball is already behind. So seeing that kind of element from Lucas also gives me confidence to say.
And it's smart. You've got to be smart to be able to do that. It's not just a Rajala, serious.
And I remember, like even in the previous podcast, I actually said it's going to be so important to see Ribeiro, standing up and being able to help us win the game. And sometimes for a top player like him, when you know that there's so much attention is on you, you learn how to play quietly but still be productive. And that's exactly what he did. He was so effective but very quietly so. Because then whenever he had the ball, they were so smart to close the inside because they know that it's coming inside.
Yeah.
But then he couldn't carry the ball that he wanted to because they'll foul him, they'll break play. But once he gets that opportunity to be able to play those balls, which means the selflessness now comes into the game. It's no longer about me now, and those are elements that he has throughout this season. And for him to do that in a big game like this, and to see also the players reciprocating that, you see, the top performance from Teko, you see, now you realize now if you were not a South African, if you're not a South African, but you look at the Mamelodi Sundowns how they play, now you understand why those players are in the national team.
Yeah, 100%.
Because of how they played, your grunt, the calmness on the ball,
those are unsung heroes.
Exactly, bro.
The people who do the dirty work.
Divine substitution. He solidified that back line. Mudau is forever green. So it's one of those elements like, okay, we had a defense that never really got Ronwen in trouble. He didn't have to make any save, right? And when you're playing Esperanto, like, okay, they might go out wide and bring all those crosses, which means now Suarez and Grant need to be in the right position and all that stuff. But also they were not playing with an out-and-out striker as well. Yeah. That's Tunisia. Yeah. They're playing with a false 9 and all that. So you can tell the game plan was, if we come out with a draw in South Africa, we've done well, and then we can change whenever we come back home. But this is a game that's you need to win your game now, and whatever that you're doing later on, we'll deal with that later on. So we are in a very advantageous position, and we need to take advantage of that.
We can't go on without even speaking about Shasha now becoming the top goal scorer ever in Champions League football, 19 goals and counting.
Dude.
I don't think We are fortunate to be able to see this in our lifetime. I don't think people recognize it for what it is now, because like it's a generational talent. It's one of those things you're going to look back once and say, there was once this guy.
Dude, I saw a quote somewhere. It might relate to this. So Harry Kane now became also their top goal scorers in the national team for England. He said, people don't understand the importance of such stats. When Messi scores 50 goals in a season, clearly he refers to Messi when he was in Barcelona. When Messi scores 50 goals in a season, it's a bad season because you're expecting him to score 80, 90, right? So they don't understand with him, as much as you're a striker going to the game, expected goals, but you still be able to find all those goals. And for Shasha to still be breaking these records and setting new records for himself, you're rightfully saying that we are so fortunate. Also, we are so fortunate to call him our player. So because we see him doing these things in our colors, and for him to continue doing that, to be selfless, to be a player that doesn't do much in terms of the media space and talk about his accolades and all that stuff. He's a very, very humble footballer, and all the great things in terms of football. We always say, if you respect the game will respect you, will give you back tenfold, and that's exactly what's happening to Shash. I just hope that he'll reach so many heights, man. I mean, he's such an important player for our team. You could see even after scoring, what it meant to the team. I've never seen him jump that high when he celebrates.
Giboni Springbok.
Yeah.
Giboni Alende. Naru Mshia. The camera Mshia. Wono Ishapa stride Springbok Komoyada.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I think it's amazing. It's one of those things where I think you said it before, Modise, that enjoy Shasha while we still can, because we don't know when we'll have somebody else come in and even come close to those accolades. We just don't realize what it is. You said the same thing about Mshishar. Guys, enjoy it while you still can.
Yeah, man. Look, we when we were younger, Naves, we had those type of players that possibly we didn't give them flowers, because we thought, we'll create more, because back then you had so many talented players from all across South Africa. So we had Daniel Mambushmida was a top goal scorer from Sundowns. And then the last time we spoke about a top goal scorer or a goal-scoring machine at Sundowns, that was Mambush. And imagine how many decades ago. So now we have a player that is breaking not just Sundowns records, but is setting new records, even in the league itself. So we need to embrace them, we need to enjoy them, and we need to make sure that these players continue loving the game, and for Shasha to be in that space, I mean, it's remarkable.
And I man wish I had tuck in into
Mamela.
90 minutes.
Tuck in.
Mamela.
Mamela.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It is. No, it's unbelievable.
Gents, we're going away to Esperance. Now it's the second leg. Currently we're in half time. What are we doing differently? And what are we doing differently? Let's start there.
I'd say it's not much that needs to be done differently, although we still need to be cautious, because like Modise says, that the approach from them will be totally different to how they came in. Even now, because of the results that came in the previous game. So we need to understand that it's not going to be an easy game, and we're not going there to attack. We need to be cautious and play smart, street smart. We need to be the ones that are street smart now, and not just because of off the ball, but even when we have the ball, keep the ball as much. Don't give them the ball. They can't score you if they don't have the ball. And the dominance, the quality we have. You saw how calm Grant is at the back. You saw how calm Tebza is in the middle. It gives us that responsibility, that opportunity to maintain our composure in the game and have total dominance. So I just say that the boys must just keep the ball. Keep more of the ball. It's not going to be easy, because there's going to be counter-pressing from their side now. It's now coming from their side. But we still need to be able to try our best to show our quality, because we've got international players. These are players who play at the highest level in the continent and globally. So keep the ball. Don't give them the ball.
Ndisa, this coach spoke about the inverted commas, lack of a better word, hostility when you play away. And I keep saying to people all the time that, like, I've been privileged enough to go and see us play on the continent. I don't think people really understand how hostile it is. I'll never forget having to walk around Egypt with security, and I'm like, but why? They're like, my friend, this football thing is crazy.
It's a culture, yeah.
So it's a culture here. So you need to just be aware of what we're walking into. And here, the coach said, we're very welcoming. We're a friendly bunch of people. In Egypt, the moment you walk into the stadium, you feel the hostility, the lasers, the flares, you name it.
noise.
It's all there, the noise.
Yeah.
And this is way before the game, 6 hours before even the game kicks off.
Yeah, I mean, in the northern part of Africa, rivalry is real. It's proper. Not in South Africa where we'll see a different shirt of an opponent sitting next to each other. No. It's proper and it's real. And you're rightfully saying, like most of the people in South Africa, because they've never had an opportunity to be exposed to that, they don't understand how difficult it can be for players. The hostility, and this is something that we're going to face. Definitely we're going to face. And the reason why they do that, as much as it is a culture, as much as it is the passion that they have for the game, it also is to intimidate the opponents. At some point, we were once told at a night before the game that, guys, if you win tomorrow, which means we must have security for you to escort you. That's what we were told one stage, because of the hostility that's going to happen outside there. And I think with everything that has happened, especially we saw the videos that are circulating and all that stuff, this is not new. This is football. Yeah. It's the passion of the game. Of course, it looks scary a little bit, but we are in a space where we get to this stage every season. So we understand the hostility that will come through. We need to have emotional intelligence when it comes to this game in Tunisia. We're going to be bullied. We're gonna be done all these things that has got nothing to do with football on the pitch. We need to win the game on the pitch.
100%.
Leave everything else because that's the best thing that you can control. Yeah. And I'm saying this because then you have, as much as Sugar said, maybe the approach mustn't change a little bit, or maybe we should keep the ball. But the thing is, we need to roll up our sleeves and win without having the ball.
Yeah.
If we go with that mentality, because then it's like put it in your pocket and roll the sleeves and fight, because they will come from the first minute, because then they are expected to win against Mamelodi Sundowns, because Mamelodi Sundowns is the first time beating Tunis. So the expectations are high. The players, I'm sure, and we spoke about this, Naves, in the last episode. We said 19 days they haven't been playing. I said 19 days is nothing.
Yeah.
We have the momentum. So 19 days you must start this engine, and now because they played, they all look like maybe they're a little more fresher because they have the hunger. But I know that if we become emotional intelligent and play according to the structures and play the way that we play, come 80th minute, come 70th minute, we'll find those opportunities to score.
100%.
Because they'll be tired, because then the fans will be on their backs, because we'll be keeping the ball.
And they'll be frustrated.
They'll be frustrated. We need to frustrate them. We need to take their game. We need to stop. Those tactics to stop the game, disrupt the rhythm. We need to do that as well. And we need to, at least we have an international goalkeeper that is very smart, be able to delay the game. Just 100%. Delay the game.
100%.
Take the steam out of this game. And these are stages, guys. This is a stage that we were unable to go past last season. Yeah. We just have to. I think we are mentally ready. We're physically ready, and we spoke even after the cup game. Coach spoke about we're not supposed to play this game. We got an important game on Tuesday, and I did say in the last episode this might be our advantage, because then we know that we have this tight schedule where legs are not going to give, but we also have the bench that is willing to come in and make an impact. And that's our advantage. We have quality in depth, and even if, like I'm saying, when you go there, we roll up our sleeves. If people are tired, we still have so many quality players on the bench that will come in and roll the sleeves again and continue with the fight.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Gents, score predictions.
Mamelodi Sundowns 2, Esperance 1.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 1-1 draw, and we'll still be advancing.
Yeah. Intense game. It's going to be
it's going to be intense game, and I just hope that we are very disciplined enough to not to collect unnecessary yellows early
and manage our tempo.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So your Allende, your Ribeiro, those are hotheads. Those are hotheads. Yeah, those are. It's the culture. That's where they come from. Yeah. So those are hotheads. I just hope that we'll be able to maintain our discipline as well, and come second half and get into a second or third gear for us to win the game. Because I remember a long time ago.
Yeah.
our president, President Modise, got into a changing room. We're playing in Congo. I don't remember who we're playing.
Yeah.
He said to us, I can't recognize this team on the pitch. This is not my team. Because we're playing for results. He said, I can't recognize this team. I don't mind losing, but I want to lose playing the Sundowns way.
Yeah.
That was the change of how Mamelodi Sundowns plays.
Yeah.
Like, we knew that irrespective of where we're going, we still need to impose our game. And I'm still saying, we're going to Tunisia. It's going to be very difficult, but we need to impose our game. We have players that are quality, and for us to continuously prove that we do have the best players in the country, these are the stages for us to actually continue proving that.
Thank you, gentlemen. Masandawana, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us your comments. And everybody to subscribe. We are Masandawana.
Kabuyelo.
Paramisu 7.